The area of the opening of a rectangular window is to be 143 square feet. Now keep in mind here, this here is an area. Okay, it said the area of the window, of a rectangular window, is to be 143 square feet. And then it says if the length is to be 2 more feet than the width, what are the dimensions? Okay, so all I'm going to do here is draw a picture, and that's the reason why I emphasize that to you. So here's my rectangle, and I know inside of this, the area is 134 square feet. And to find area, hopefully you know area of a rectangle is length times width. Hopefully that's okay with you. If not, there it is, and now you have the formula. I'm trying to write a better W. Okay, so anyways, so it gives me some more information below here. It says if the length is to be 2 more feet than the width, so the length is 2 more feet than the width. So the length is 2 more feet than the width. That's what they're actually talking about here. So whatever the width is, the length is 2 feet more. So I'm going to say the width is the dimension of the width, or W is the dimension of the width is what I should say. So then if I'm going to put that in there, I'm going to say, hey, this is W then. I'm just calling it W because I don't know what it is. And the width is being compared to the length, or the length is being compared to the width, excuse me. So that's the best I can get. So then I know the length is going to be W plus 2, right? L equals W plus 2. And then the width of the other side is going to be a W because these have to be the same. Opposite sides of a rectangle are equal. And then that means if this one is W plus 2 down here, that means this one is W plus 2 as well. So that's the dimensions of my rectangle so far. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to think about what we're looking at here. So remember, we're finding area. We're not really finding area. We know what the area is. The area is 143 square feet. So what that tells me then is my A equals 143. Now, the way I can use that formula, well, I should say these two formulas together, because that's what I'm going to do, I can get, and I'll write it down below here, 143 equals, my length is, I should say, W plus 2, so I'm going to plug that instead of the length. So this L here, I'm going to put W plus 2 because that's what it equals. And that's going to be times W. So times W. There it is. So now I'm just going to use the algebra that we did in any of the previous problems. If you like one method better than the other, on these word problems, you can use any method you choose. That's kind of what's nice about it. So this is 143, and then when I distribute here, this is going to be W squared plus 2W. And we have to distribute here because we can't just say, hey, either this is 143 or that's 143. That doesn't work. Remember, it has to be a 0 here if I'm going to use that kind of reasoning, and we don't have a 0 there. We have 143. So please be careful. Oops, forgot my W. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, once I see this squared here, I can use completing the square. I can use quadratic formula. I can use factoring. The first thing I like to always try is factoring. So first off, I'm going to move this over because my equation has to be in standard form. So that's why I'm moving it over. But if I was using completing the square, I would keep it just like this. And then I would just find out what I have to add. You know what? That might be easier. I'm going to do completing the square on this one. I thought about moving it over and factoring and stuff, but no, I'm going to do completing the square. This will be fun. So I'm going to take half of b, since it's kind of already set up for that anyways. So 2 over 2 squared. So that's going to be 1 squared, which is 1. So I'm going to want to add 1 to both sides. So now I get 144 equals w squared plus 2w plus 1. And that means I'm going to get w plus 1 squared. Because remember, it's like I square root that. That gives me my 1. And this is positive, so that's positive. It's really that simple. And once I get it set up this way, I square root both sides. And remember, when I square root, it's plus or minus. So then this is going to be w plus 1 equals plus or minus 12. So then w is going to equal, oh, let me show that step. So now I'm going to minus 1 both sides. So then w is going to equal positive 12 minus 1, which is going to be 11, or it's going to be negative 12 minus 1, negative 13. So there's our 2 answers for this one. But notice what's going on here. We are talking about a rectangular window. So that tells me I can't have a negative here. That makes no sense at all when I'm talking about something in real life this way. The only time we really deal with negatives is when we're talking about temperature and stuff, and we don't have that here. So our w turns out to be 11, not negative 13. So keep that in mind there. So sometimes we come up with those numbers, we just throw them out there and think both answers are fine. That's not true, so be careful. Okay, so anyway, so we know our width then is 11. So over here I'll just write w equals 11. Now to find the length is easy. Remember, I have this formula here. And essentially that just means I'm going to plug in 11 for my w. So then my L is going to equal 13. Now again, don't forget your units here. This is feet. And it says, what are the dimensions? And that simply means what is my length and my width when I'm talking about a rectangle. So there's our answer.